Recovery is overrated. Huge mistake people make. I'm going to show you how to fix it, what you really want, how to get it, and the experience starts right now. What is going on? My name is David Barr. If you're looking to get bigger, faster, stronger, get leaner, go longer, hit that subscribe and then the little bell so you don't miss the latest tips and tricks. Today, we're talking recovery, everybody's favorite topic, but should it be? I think recovery is hugely overrated and I'm about to show you why. Real quick, if you're a subscriber, stay tuned to the end because I got your next step to optimize your recovery and the key thing that you actually want. So I see this mistake all the time and it's a simple fix. We need to define what recovery is. It sounds boring, it sounds laborious, but don't worry about it. It's really simple. Recovery is really just getting back to baseline after our training or event. We don't just want to get back to baseline, right? Same level of strength and muscle growth and fat loss and all that. We want to adapt. We want to improve. So that's the key. We want to have adaptation. Adaptation's the key. So think recovery, adaptation, not just getting back to baseline, because what we're doing when we focus on recovery, we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot, trying to get back to baseline because we often confuse that recovery with the adaptation. And yes, they are linked, but if you just focus on recovery, a lot of the interventions that we have can actually shoot ourselves in the foot. They can short circuit that recovery adaptation link. Now, if you're thinking, what about post-workout drinks and that kind of thing? That is another type of recovery. That is intermediate recovery. So that's the minutes and hours following an event or an exercise bout. Very different. It's low-hanging fruit. Typically, I call it repletion recovery. Really helps indicate what we're trying to do. And that's just get stuff back into our bodies. So hydration, carbs, electrolytes, really simple stuff. Everybody knows this at this point because it's low-hanging fruit. It's not a big deal. We actually don't need it unless we're competing again in a few hours after our first bout. But for most people, it's not a big deal. We're going to restore glycogen within 24 hours of training anyway. So not a crazy huge deal. But what we want is that recovery adaptation. That is long-term recovery adaptation, not just short-term. We're not just trying to get back to baseline, right? Huge confusion. Once we fix that confusion, we can start to understand how we can optimize adaptation. So good question. How do we optimize adaptation? Well, pretty simple. There's not a lot we can do. Maybe things like creatine. The best example is pharmaceutical use. I'm not recommending that. I'm just giving you that as information. That's one of the few things we have to actually optimize adaptation. Have an optimized training program so you're getting your appropriate rest after your actual insult or your stimulus for adaptation. But know that you don't typically want to short circuit your recovery adaptation link. And we typically do this, things like icing. I mean, stuff that we don't necessarily need to be doing. Maybe we want to be less sore. For whatever reason, I talk about that in another video. I don't get the whole DOMS thing. People want to get rid of it, but that's another rant for another time. Right now, we're just talking recovery, adaptation, and optimizing yours. So real quick, what recovery techniques are you using? And do you know if it actually short circuits your recovery adaptation? Let me know in the comments below. So huge key to optimizing recovery adaptation is sleep. Not that sleep is our most anabolic time. In fact, sleep is our most catabolic time. I talk about this in a casein video. I mean, we're not feeding, right? So you want to pre-feed with casein before you go to sleep. Otherwise, you're going to short circuit that recovery adaptation. I will link to that video in the top right and the description. But the key is optimizing your own sleep. I have a whole other video on that, 6 sleep tips. Be sure to check that one out. I will also link to that in the top right and the description because right now people are not getting enough sleep. It's just a simple fact of life. So if we can optimize the sleep that we have, get the best sleep that we can, initiate sleep as quickly as possible, try to figure out how we can optimize our naps for cognitive and in-gym performance, athletic performance, then we're really going to optimize that recovery adaptation response. So there's quick overview on recovery adaptation. I have a whole series on this, series of lectures. There's live streams on this. I will link to those. Be sure to check them out if you want to learn more about recovery adaptation, optimize yours. Because again, it's a really sexy topic. Everyone loves to talk about, but we don't actually know what we're talking about. So it's time we fix that. Thanks for watching. I'm David Barr. Until next time, raise the bar.